What's the craziest thing you've eaten?
They kind of cook that monkey's head and eat it like an apple, walking around with it.
Are you serious?
Took all the intestines out in the river, and down comes not only a howler monkey, but a howler monkey's baby.
It's not pleasure or hobby, right? It's survival.
It's like an auspicious time to eat dog meat.
Did you try that?
Was never able to enjoy a bite of it, man. But I would get hot flushes of guilt, dude. Like I'd get like a sweaty guiltiness.
Talking to your team, we were asking for funny stories, and they had mentioned something about a hunt. I believe it was in South America for monkeys.
Yeah.
What is that? Well, I got to hear this.
Yeah, I had a number of real life-changing experiences hunting down in South America with Indigenous South Americans. Some people use the term Amerindians. I spent time with some guys that are from the Macushi tribe, or Macushi and Wapashan tribes in Bolivia, and then the Chamane. Macushi and Wapashan in Guyana, and the Chamane in Bolivia. And we were on a river trip, traveling up a river with some Chamane guys. And they had a shotgun, which is kind of a common armament down there. And it would be that, like, I was with these guys, another trip I was with, just to give you a sense of the ammunition and stuff they use down there, is I was with these guys in Guyana one time that they weren't supposed to have a gun, right? They weren't allowed to have firearms, but they had a firearm, and they had a 16 gauge shotgun, and they had 12 gauge ammo. And they would, I'm not kidding, dude, they would sit there. So at night, they like to hunt at night. And they would take that, they had a 16 gauge casing. It's got the same primer. So they would take that 12 gauge shell. Someone would give them these 12 gauge shells, and they would cut it open, and they had a leaf. They cut it open, poured the shot out in a leaf, got the wad out, poured the powder out in a leaf, pushed that primer pin out, put the primer into the 12 gauge, put the powder in, and then they had this kind of waxy paper they'd use for a wadding, put their shot in, then they had a candle. Instead of crimping it, they'd cut the crimp off, and they'd melt a candle in there and drip candle wax in there to seal the thing.
No way.
So they could go take their 16 gauge shotgun out hunting. I remember one night these guys, I would go out with them sometimes. One night I just, for whatever reason, I wasn't like invited to go. I remember they made 2 of these shells, and they're gone for quite a while in the dark, and a while I never found out what happened, but a while later they come back and make 1 more shell and then go back out again. So that was, but these to get back to the question about the monkey, these guys in Bolivia, they really like monkeys, and different, the handful of different groups I hung out with, there's different opinions about eating monkey. It's either taboo or not, but these guys like red howler monkeys.
Mm-hmm.
So I go out with them in the jungle, and they had found they knew about a tree that was fruiting. They had been scouting around and found a fig tree, or not a fig tree, maybe some kind of date. I don't remember the fruit. I'm sorry. But we got under a tree, and we're just waiting under a tree, and pretty soon you can see a howler monkey up in the tree. And he shoots up there with a shotgun, and down comes not only a howler monkey, but a howler monkey's baby. And man, this guy comes back. There's some stuff we filmed this off. There's some stuff we didn't film or didn't use the footage of, but they come back and they kind of cook that monkey's head and eat it like an apple, walking around with it, kind of chewing the.
Are you serious?
Took all the intestines out in the river. So they took all those monkey guts down and inverted all the intestines to clean them, to eat. And they just and they cook everything to the nth degree. So they smoke it, cook it, boil it. Yeah, and sitting there eating that monkey meat, and it was like, I can eat anything, man. I'll eat anything, but eating monkey meat was a tougher meal.
So they run around with a monkey head and eat it like an apple. Did you try that?
I didn't try the monkey. I ate a lot of monkey meat, but I didn't try the monkey head. I wasn't offered the monkey head.
You weren't invited.
No, but I remember just seeing it. He had the little monkey, and just palming it,
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What about the skull?
No, just not like kind of like get like a picture that you're getting the skin off and the jowl meat and stuff, just kind of cleaning it up, cleaning
Damn.
it up. Yeah.
That's
So-
fucking crazy.
Yeah, it was a wild experience. And the joke about that I always tell people is we run into they have like our only marsupial here is an opossum. They run into we're out at night and we run into a possum and they just killed this monkey. So we see a possum, which is not a esteemed food item here. Once upon a time it was. Like people would even harvest them. The commercial guys used to harvest them just for the fat, just for
No
oil.
shit.
Oh yeah.
Didn't know that.
But we run into a possum and I'm like, dude, if there's some Americans eat a possum, that possum's dead meat with these boys finding it, It was so funny. There's this possum hanging on a tree and they can see it in the light. And I'm like, man, I feel bad for that possum. And they're like, yeah. Just keep walking. So it's like monkeys, cool. Possums, no one's gonna eat that.
Damn. What's the craziest thing you've eaten?
I think that like eating monkey meat, and then years ago I did a story. I was mentioning to you, even though I promised not to do this, I'm like earlier I was telling you. But earlier I mentioned having an opportunity. We were talking about Vietnam vets, and I mentioned having an opportunity to go to Vietnam years ago. I did a magazine story when I was doing magazine articles. I did a magazine feature on Thit Cho, which is like meat dog in Vietnam, and it's in the north of Vietnam around the Lunar New Year, so Tet. Like Tet is like an auspicious time to eat dog meat in the north. And so I did a story about that, like eating dog meat, the mythology of eating dog meat, the business of dog meat in Vietnam, how it's raised, how it's sourced, how it's served, and went and ate for about a week and was never able to enjoy a bite of it, man. It would give a hot. They would call it a hot food. Like it's a charged food. They would call it hot, meaning it's like a potent food. But I would get hot flushes of guilt, dude. Like I'd get like a sweaty guiltiness.
Damn.
Eating that dog. And there's a common thing they would serve where you'd go into these places that would open. It was funny because I was right on that lake where they fished McCain.
No kidding.
Oh yeah, you're sitting like that lake where McCain went down in, and a guy in Vietnam mentioned he was a guest of us once talking about McCain, but it was where he was. There's a street there that during the Tet holiday is all these sort of like, you'd almost put it like, it's almost like food trucks or like pop-up stores. It's just all Thit Cho places that are open just for the Tet holiday. And you can go in and they'd serve, like you go to that, get dog 5 ways or dog 3 ways. And it'd be like a prefix menu.
Interesting.
Of just different preps. And when I wrote that, I published that story in Outside Magazine long ago now. And I remember it was the most, they were saying that in terms of generating like vitriolic hate mail, it was their number 2.
I'll bet.
And the number 1 thing was, at the time they said the number 1 thing was something they had written that was critical of the Boy Scouts. So I fell behind that in vitriolic hate mail. But that was a rugged bunch of meals, and eating the monkey was fine. I would eat the monkey. I would do that again because it's such a pleasure to hang out with guys. You got to picture that you're with people. You're with people that their great grandfather, their grandfather, their father, them. They hunt and fish 250 days a year, maybe. They spend some time doing these little farm fields they cultivate up and down the river. But they hunt and fish. I would ask a lot of guys, like, how many days? And they'd have to think about it. They'd say, like, 2 out of 3 days or whatever, they hunt and fish. Within a 50-mile radius, 75-mile radius for many, many, many generations. I don't care how good you think you are in the woods. You can't compete.
Yeah.
You can't, you'll never catch them. Do you know what I'm saying? You can't catch them. they're so good at like a specific set of things in a specific environment.
Yeah, I mean they live in it, and it's not pleasure or hobby, right? It's survival.
It's just you can't compete. The stuff they see, you'll never see it. The stuff they hear, you won't hear it. Yeah.
Damn. I'll bet you've seen a lot of that all over the world.
Yeah. So that meaning like if I can go and spend an evening or a day or whatever, go out at night with flashlights with guys that know that know their business like that, like I'll do it anytime. I don't care what I got to eat.
I'll bet you've learned a ton over the years, huh?
Yeah. I've learned a lot of it's not a lot of stuff you pick up. It's not like you're learning tricks that you're going to integrate into your own program, but you're learning.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's more like building building kind of like a database of information or an understanding rather than like picking up some little thing. Yeah. Though I did like, I have gone and seen, it's funny, gone and seen people seen how, indigenous hunter-gatherers, like see them solve a problem that I have recognized in our own world.
Interesting.
We used to, for a short period of time, I would sell snap and turtle meat and in Michigan, and we would always get snap and turtles, you know, and I remember my dad how I was taught to do it and how I would do it later when I sold a little bit of snap and turtle meat is like you cut the snap and turtle's head off. And then they have such like an ancient nervous system, you know, that for hours, like if you cut a turtle's head off and he's going to retract into his shell and for hours, you know, the expression like chicken with a head cut off, right? Yeah. Like I'm always trying to explain that to my kids. He's like, he's dead. He don't know it. But for hours, a turtle is tensed up.
No kidding.
Oh yeah. So like I just remember my old man he'd like cut his head off and go hang it by the tail, and then you'd pull, and eventually it would go limp. And down in South America, I saw these guys. They got this big. They had set a net, and they got this big, giant river turtle in it, and they they whittled a big long stick. Have you ever heard of the fish processing technique called ikejime?
No.
So it's you'll catch a fish and brain it, and then they cut it by its tail and crack its tail. So you get an entry point into its spinal column, and they'll run a wire into it to just deaden the nervous system. Well, these guys cut this big long skewer, and when they cut that turtle's head off, they ran that skewer right into the backbone, and shoved that skewer down in that thing, and that turtle just,
no kidding.
I mean, melted. And then they cooked it right in its shell.
Wow.
And with something like that, I'm like, that's something I could wish I would have known about a long time.
Wow.
You know, that's something I wish I would have known about a long time ago. So there is stuff like that, but a lot of it's like, it's not transferable. It's just cool to see it. It's cool to witness it.
Just cool to understand how they do it. And
yeah, like as a writer, it's cool to know it.
Yeah.
You know, because I'll write about that stuff.
How do you deal? I mean, I could imagine that with the dog thing, you got a ton of hate mail. I mean, I could see that happening. I
remember seeing some, but surprisingly not. Surprisingly not. Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Not. I've had a little bit of that from. I'm always shocked at how little of that I've got. I've had to have the FBI look into a guy one time. But they like scared the hell out of him, you know, and never heard from him again.
Good deal.
They went through his trash. He was eating pepperoni pizza. I'm like, he's not even a vegetarian, dude. They're like, no, he ordered a pepperoni pizza.
Damn.
Yeah, like, what a hypocrite.
I'm surprised you don't get more pushback. I've had a couple of guys. Actually, I had Bob Parsons on. Do you know, he was the CEO of GoDaddy, and he had a thing, and he had an incident. He got but I mean, I don't think people realize, you know, how good we have it, how sheltered we are here in America. I mean, you go to the fucking grocery store and get everything you need, but
yeah.
You know, you're talking about out in the jungles of Vietnam and Bolivia, and it's like, dude, this isn't like pleasure or hobby for these people. No. This is their occupation and how they feed the villages.
It's legitimate subsistence.
Yeah.
Legitimate subsistence.
I think
on the issue of like hearing from, just to wrap that up, like on the issue of being a hunter out in the public eye and getting harassed by animal rights extremists. It's like there's nothing they can take from me.
No matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.